Hello ARTVENTURERS! Welcome back to the channel. In today's video we're going to follow the prompt tree and water. Now for the past few videos I've been experimenting with different variations of the same theme, but today I want to focus on just one very special tree. Before we dive in, I need to tell you something. After filming this video, I ran into a ton of technical problems. My hard drive, which I was relying on, completely crashed, and to make things worse, my PC desktop broke. So I lost some footage, especially from the initial sketching stage, so I'm sorry about that, but don't worry, I'll explain the process and show you the final result. Before I started drawing, I spent a lot of time thinking about the best way to approach this prompt, and I came up with 3 ideas. The first one was to draw a tree made of water, but that felt a bit too simple. The second idea was to create a tree that looked like a mountain with waterfalls and pools of water forming within its branches. It was a better concept, but it still didn't feel magical enough. So after rethinking that idea, I landed on the final version you'll see in this drawing. As you can see in this sketch, the 2 pages are arranged like this. On the first page, at the top, we have the tree in all its glory, with its massive waterfalls flowing from the branches. Below you can see the fruit of the tree split open to reveal the seeds inside. These seeds are really important and you'll understand why in a moment. On the second page, at the top, you can see the life cycle of the tree, and at the bottom of the page, there is an example of the oasis it creates when its life cycle restarts, how it transforms the barren desert into a lush, thriving ecosystem. Now, let's talk about this special tree. Since the prompt is tree and water, I knew I wanted to create something that wasn't just a typical tree. The tree I've drawn here is magical. It grows in the middle of a desert and it has the incredible ability to draw water from deep underground and bring it to the surface, flowing out from its branches like huge waterfalls. The idea is that this tree doesn't just survive in the desert, it transforms the landscape. But of course, the magic doesn't stop here. The fruit of this tree is also a marvel. It holds within a myriad of seeds, each from a different plant species. These seeds are essential for the ecosystem the tree creates. When the fruit falls to the ground, the seeds scatter and give life to hundreds of new plants. Medicinal herbs, fruit trees and other plants that are crucial for the survival of the oasis. So this tree is not just a source of water, it's a life giver, transforming the desert into a self-sustaining ecosystem. It's a symbol of how nature and magic can come together to restore balance to a land that seems lifeless. I really love how this piece turned out, even though I had to work through some technical issues. It's always an adventure to create something new, and I'm happy to share this magical tree with all of you. Back to the drawing, this initial coloring phase helps me define the larger shapes and gives me a base to work on and apply the lights, the shadows, the details. A good tip when you need to paint something multiple times is to mix the color just once so you don't have to recreate it each time, because it's almost impossible to match that exact shade. So here I mixed a lot of brown for the tree's base and applied it all across the 3 sketches. Then, since I had a little left over, I used it as a base to create consistent shadows by adding a touch of blue, magenta and black. Defining the shadows is really important for adding depth and 3-dimensionality to the drawing. In this case, at first, I used a marker to have more control compared to the brush, and once I was happy with the result, I switched to the brush to continue. I also feel like I owe you an apology. While I was editing the video, I realized that my hand was always in front of the camera, blocking the view of what was happening on the paper. I know how frustrating it can be not to see the details of the drawing. I tried to be mindful of my hand placement, but it seems like it slipped out of view more than I expected. I really appreciate your patience, and I'll make sure to improve on this in future videos. We've now reached my favorite part of the video, the moment where I get to draw the waterfalls and add all the intricate details of the water. This is always such a fun and rewarding step for me because it's where the magic really starts to come to life. I love how the movement of the water brings energy and fluidity to the piece. It's important to try to draw the falling water as straight as possible to give it a realistic sense of gravity and motion. Another thing I really enjoy is how the water creates those splashes when it falls and how it behaves differently when it doesn't fall directly but instead flows over the trunk. Those little droplets and splashes add so much texture and life to the scene, making it feel more realistic and magic. The way the light hits the water and the reflections around the edges are so important for capturing its transparency and texture. As for the plant's life cycle, which you can see here, it works like this. Once the tree finds the ideal area for creating the oasis, it halts its growth and begins to firmly anchor its roots deep into the ground to bring water up to the surface. It remains in this spot for as long as it takes to stabilize the oasis, ensuring that the ecosystem it has created can thrive on its own. Once the oasis is stable, the tree starts to slowly withdraw its roots, doing so carefully to avoid any disruption or harm to the delicate balance it has established. As it withdraws, the tree dries out and shrinks, eventually becoming a large dry ball. At this point, it begins its journey again, carried by the wind in search of new areas with water. For this concept, I drew inspiration from a real desert plant known as the tumbleweed, which also moves with the wind and plays a vital role in its ecosystem. We're getting close to the end of the video, and now it's time for those final touches, like adding the highlights on the seeds and the little notes that Luna the ARTVENTURER wrote when she first discovered this magnificent and powerful tree. I think it's these small details that give the Black Sketchbook a travel journal feeling. So, ARTVENTURERS, what do you think of this magical tree? Let me know in the comments below if you've been working on your own tree and water prompts. I'd love to see your creations as well. Now, as we wrap up, don't forget to check the description where I've listed all the tools I used for this piece. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe and give it a like. Your support means the world to me, and it helps keep the creative adventures going. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey, and I'll see you in the next video. Keep creating, adventurers. Bye!